Welcome to We Digress with Joi and Jess. Join hosts and longtime friends Joi Simpson and Jess Perry as they tackle the stuff of life the only way they know how, with honesty, faith, and humor. This is We Digress with Joi and Jess. Hey everyone! Welcome back!
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm old. Okay.
We know it wouldn't be an intro to the podcast if Joi didn't sing. And it wouldn't be season 4 if Joi was not singing. Yes.
How amazing.
We are back for season 4. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
I'm drinking coffee. Sorry, guys.
I promise that this is just water. Because I can't.
Chocolate in my coffee. I can't.
Yeah, this is where we differ. Put all the chocolate in my coffee all the time.
I don't know what it is. Like, I don't mind chocolate. Although as I've gotten older, chocolatey things I don't love anymore. Like, if I have like a cake that has chocolate, I want it to be like a yellow cake with chocolate frosting, or vice versa. Like, I can't do like chocolate on chocolate cake anymore. I don't know why. Like, it's becomes too much chocolate, but I can eat like candy bars on occasion. But certain candy bars I don't like anymore. And it's very true. As you get older, your taste buds change. But definitely don't like chocolate in my coffee. It messed up my order.
I can't vibe with that. Like, give me the chocolate and then give me more chocolate and then put some chocolate on it.
And that's how I feel about caramel. Give me some caramel.
I mean, that too.
Put some more caramel. And then I could do chocolate and caramel, of course. You know, of course. But yeah, I don't know. I used to love like chocolate cake and all that. Like, I could just take a few bites of it. It's not like I hate it now, but I can't like.
So my thing is not so much the chocolate, is it's too sweet. If it's too sweet,
then
I can't do that. Like,
it kind of ruins the whole experience if it's too sweet.
Yeah, because then it's like I can only have a little bit, and my heart wants a lot. So I didn't get this way by just having a little bit of cake. I got this by having
a lot of cake.
All the cake. Give me all the cake.
Well, speaking of that, though, because you kind of made a face when I said like yellow cake and chocolate frosting, I just found out that that's kind of like a black thing. I didn't know.
Oh, no.
Because I saw it on TikTok, and my mom was like, and then one of her coworkers, her coworker is Hispanic, and she's like, I've never heard of like yellow cake and chocolate frosting. Like, I've never seen anybody do that. And I was like,
no, that's my dad's favorite cake.
Yeah, okay, so it's not just a black thing. Because I was like, I could swear that other people eat this.
Oh, no. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was what my parents had at their wedding, was yellow cake with chocolate frosting.
Because it's delicious.
Well, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, I eat it a lot, but I'm just saying, if I had the choice between chocolate and
because my mom was like, is it just Hispanic people or is it black or Caucasian people too? I was like, but I know white people that eat chocolate cake with yellow cake with chocolate together. It's what food. Cake. It is a healer. Hallelujah. It can also be an addiction, but it can. It's a healer too.
But what a way to go! Right?
Well, welcome back.
As I have a post Easter candy Hershey's Dove dark chocolate egg, because they were 70% off at Target, and Mama didn't raise no fool.
You know, I didn't even check, because you know my favorite Easter candy actually is the Reese's peanut butter eggs.
You and John, we got a mess of them, and I'm like,
that is like, it's my jam. Like, I can't. I love when it's like the end of Valentine's Day and they're like putting Easter stuff out, and there's just like the random, like you're at CVS or something, and there's like a random bag of like the Reese's eggs out already, like with the little Easter colors on it. I'm like, oh, I'm grabbing it.
I was very excited about the peanut M&Ms in the Easter colors. We got a couple bags of those.
Yes. And then I had the coffee ones. Have you tried the new coffee cold brew M&Ms? They're actually quite delicious. I didn't think I was going to like these. You can't eat the whole bag at one time, though, because it's a little sweet. But
are they crunchy? Right? Because right now
they're crunchy. They have peanuts in them.
See, I need to go find them and then hoard them for when I can have crunchy things again.
Yeah, I was randomly. So I had seen a commercial about them, and then I was in Target, minding my business, and I looked to my right, and I saw they had like a little, they have like the stand, but as
Oh
you're
yeah,
going
the end
along, it's
cap.
like, hey, have you thought about this as you walk to the cashier? And it was like new cold
That's where they get
brew
you.
M&Ms. And I was like, I'm going to try it. My mother, who does not like coffee at all, was like, go for it. She's not a coffee person at all. I don't know where I got coffee from because she doesn't. My dad drank coffee, but my mom.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I love your mom. I just bought her book. It just
Yes,
got
my
here.
mom has a book now. It's called Courage Under Fire. It's an anthology with her girls, which we've talked about the girls on this show. So it's the
We'll
mom
put the
and the
link in the
aunties.
description so you
We'll
can go
definitely
get
put
it.
the link in the description. It's wonderful, encouraging stories from these powerful women of God who are being very transparent about their lives and ministry and the struggles that they've had. And it's really, really great. So I'm really proud of my mother and proud of my aunts. They're going to be doing a book release soon. So if that comes out by the time this airs, we'll also put that information in the description. If you're in the Los Angeles area, we would love for you to come join us and celebrate this amazing thing. I'm so
I'm
excited.
so excited. I can't wait to read it. It literally came yesterday. So I haven't had any
Wonderful.
time to read it yet. But I kind of skimmed and I was super excited. And it's awesome. So
I'm excited.
cool.
I'm proud of her. So yeah, that's what this episode's about. It's about updates. You guys have seen my mom on the show, especially in season 1 and 2, with our discussions
amazing.
about the Holy Spirit. So if you enjoyed her there, she's written 3 stories in this anthology, and I know it's going to bless you. So check it out.
She's
Courage
super
Under
cool.
Fire.
So exciting.
Super exciting.
Yeah.
It's funny. I finally got a hard copy of my book. I mean, I have books, but I never got a hardcover because I just didn't order one.
Yeah.
So and I actually like the hardcover. It's really nice. So yeah, but it's random.
I was like, I have a heart, but then I realized I have a paperback. I have a paperback of yours.
Yes. But yeah, it's cool. It's speaking of books, we're kind of there. We were going to talk about this in this episode anyway.
Yeah, we were.
You want to start?
Sure. So
go for it.
As you guys know, as we've been talking about, Joi published her first book almost a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in December.
Right. And so it was my privilege to kind of walk alongside her in that process and edit the book and do some of the marketing around it and the photography and all that kind of stuff of getting the book ready to go. And
yes.
We learned a lot in that process of self-publishing and writing and marketing and all that kind of stuff. And so and we do this podcast, and Joi and I really we really have a heart for people who are stepping out into the thing, particularly that God is calling them to do, and taking
Absolutely.
big steps and big leaps, and for amplifying voices that may not have the resources to be heard. In fact, it was so funny. I was just having this conversation. I don't remember where it was, whether it was at work or, which that's an update that I have for everybody too.
Yes.
What this conversation was about. Basically, it was talking about the first day of the COVID lockdowns, right? Where that first Sunday where everything went, everyone was shut back. Yeah. And churches broke Facebook on the first Sunday.
They did. Yeah.
Churches broke Facebook because we all started streaming and Facebook servers couldn't handle it and Facebook went down. And I was like, yeah, go church. But the thing that I was most excited about was the fact that there were going to be all of these small church pastors who don't have big platforms and who people would presume, because they don't have large platforms, that maybe their message isn't as good or as intelligent or as well thought out. And the reality is, no, they just have a smaller platform. And so I was so excited that all of these small church pastors were going to be able to, people were going to see the quality of teaching that was in a lot of these churches. And that's kind of the heart behind a project that Joi and I have been working on. And we are launching as we are able. We've had a lot of life change in the last couple of months. I feel like that's a theme for us. Like every time we go to start doing something, life gets to lifing.
That's so true. But there's value in that because it's almost like, it means to me, in a way, it feels like you're on the right track. When life starts lifing, when something is starting to launch or branch out, or you're starting to just keep walking and doing the things that God wants you to do. Life gets a little crazy. The devil gets a little mad, but
Right.
it's cool. We get to stomp on his feet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like,
snap.
we get to do that, even though it's been a little rough these past few.
Yeah, it's been a lot. But we are super excited to announce this project. It's called Divine Detour Media. And the name Divine Detour is kind of what we were talking about. Like, we have this thing that we're doing, right? That we're doing, trying to live our lives and trying to be the women that God has called us to be, and ministry and all this kind of stuff. And he just sort of gives us these divine detours that we end up following, and life is kind of crazy when you follow the detours that God sets in front of you. And so Absolutely. Divine Detour Media is going to eventually, we have grand dreams for it. But it's going to start out as a podcasting network of some great podcasts. You've seen our friend Autumn, A Champion. She is, and I always mispronounce her name, and I'm working so hard.
I do too.
A Champion.
I like the way I say it, but I don't know if that's right. I always say Achiampong, but that's not right.
That's not correct. Yeah. So Autumn, know that we love you so very much.
We just can't say your last name.
And I'm working on, because it's not just the syllables and the consonants, it's the emphasis. And I keep putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Yeah. Yeah. So I love you with because and to be fair, you're still Buzzle to me in many respects. But anyways, going back to that, our dear friend Autumn, who we had on the podcast last season, she has a podcast called The Storied In Between. And she's in the middle of some crazy life change right now as well. And so when she gets her life settled back and that podcast revamps, she's going to be a part of our podcast network. And
yes.
Again, just kind of collectively emphasizing and expanding the reach of a lot of really cool voices that wouldn't necessarily always have that. We're going to be doing author services and editing and book editing and marketing and design and helping, helping people publish, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot there, and there's a lot that we have a vision for, and we're just trying to make it work. So if you are an author or a podcaster, or you've thought about being an author or a podcaster or a speaker, there's going to be a speakers bureau. Right. I
was just about to say that one.
See, I keep forgetting all the stuff that we've got going on. There's a lot.
I know. The Speakers Bureau, if you are someone who, you're a preacher, you're a teacher, you may be a Christian motivation speaker, in that realm, you have a field that you are very, skilled at teaching about. And you don't always get the opportunities to speak somewhere or be placed somewhere. What we want to do is have you on our website, have your information, and help send you to ministries that may need someone for an event. If there's a women's ministry that isn't sure, who to bring in for their Women's Month or for their prayer breakfast or whatever the case may be, or even a youth service or whatever, we are there to help and assist and put you out there. In ministries, if you're looking for someone, check us out. You can look through the bios, look at our websites, because those will be linked to the website. And it will help you form a godly option on what to bring into your ministry, what to bring into your event. And I think it's something awesome, because you don't really see a speakers bureau really anywhere when it comes to kingdom. There's, they have some stuff like that in the secular world, as people want to call it, but there's not a lot of kingdom focused, speaker, profiles that are out there. So we would love to help not promote you, but to help place you in an arena where you can be heard and the gifts that God has inside of you can be heard.
Yeah, I think the idea behind it is just, it's not even so much as, like Joy said, marketing. Like, that's not it. It's more just along the lines of helping speakers navigate booking opportunities to share the message, and then also helping churches and organizations navigate that. So it's both sides of kind of being that intermediary to help people connect. And that's really where our heart is. And so those are some things that we have on the horizon. Those are some things that we have been working on. We're working on it. As with anything, when we start to do something, everything comes up and starts taking up a ton of our time.
Right. But we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We've made some decisions, which is half the battle. And that also includes the women's conference that we'll be doing in September. It is under the umbrella of Divine Detour. So planning out conferences, and what we would love to do is not just do the conference, just us, but we would like to take this conference to other ministries, to other states. And so we will be offering it in person and virtually. And we'll get more information out there for you guys to register, because we want to get it out there as early as we can so we can register and be ready for a power-packed morning and afternoon of speakers. And we have some dynamic, amazing speakers that are on the list for that event that I believe everybody will find a connection with something, if not every speaker. But even if it's not every person, you'll find a connection between someone. And I think that'll be amazing. And we'll be able to answer questions and things like that, have a panel of discussion. I'm looking forward to it. We tried to do it actually a few months ago, and it wasn't that the event was not right. It was the timing. And what we all understand as believers, if you're not a believer, something we believe is that God's timing is more important than our own. And sometimes you have to just concede to the voice of God and just kind of halt what you're doing and what you want for God to make sure that it happens. Because the reality is there's nothing we do or nothing we can do without God.
Absolutely.
If his hand's not in it, we don't want it.
Exactly. And that's really what it is. And so that's all the details that we believe that he is taking care of. But we've in that a lot of really good things happened for this conference, and the connections and the location and all that kind of stuff. So we were really fortunate.
That was all wonderful. Yeah.
So some really good things came out of it, and more is to come on that. So stay very much tuned.
We feel a lot better about it now too. We have some room to breathe a little bit.
Yeah. One of the issues that I don't know if this is something that anybody else is facing when you're trying to do stuff, is that it's just, there has been, I think, kind of now that we are, as a community of people, like as a world, as a society, sort of coming out of that extended COVID season. Like organizations and churches and groups are trying to figure out, okay, how are we doing things now? What's normal look like? What do events look like? What are we putting on our calendar? Stuff is really ramping back up. And there's almost the sense that we have to catch up for the last few years. But then at the same time, I feel like there has been a lot of transition in a lot of organizations. A lot of personnel adjustments. And so that's like, just seasons are changing all over the place. And so it can be kind of hard to like nail down details for stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we faced back in March when we were trying to do this conference, was just with our hosts and all that kind of stuff. So we've got that nailed down now. We're looking forward to September. And we are excited for what God is going to do.
Excited.
But getting there is half the battle.
It's been a journey.
To quote G.I. Joe.
So that's some really great updates that we have. I believe, everybody knows I'm truly like, let's go. That's, and it can be a lot. Sometimes pray for Jessica because I'm a lot. And I've said that every season. I'm a lot. Pray for my future husband because I'm a lot. All of these things.
No. You are not. We're going to reframe that. You are not a lot. You are not too much. You are just right for whatever season God is putting you into, because God needs you with your unique voice and your unique shawa to go in and get things done. So you are not. No. No.
I know. I tease a little bit because I do know that I can pounce on some things. But vision wise and spiritually, I truly I can see where this business venture, because it's like business and ministry, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the business, but every umbrella is a ministry, because even publishing books, that is it's a ministry, because you are, as we will edit books for someone or help them set up their Amazon sales, help them set up their author pages, all of those things. That is our ministry part, but is as well, because we have to see it with a God eye, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, right. It's I see how powerful this can be. The more connections and more opportunity. And it's amazing that it's called Divine Detour, because I believe in divine connections. Even with the ministry that we have connected with to do the conference, that is a divine connection that Jessica already had. And then it was almost like it took on a different form in this new season.
Well, and even me just getting that connection to that church that's hosting us, that was a connection that was made from a friend of ours from college. Brian, remember Brian, Rockstar?
Logue?
Brian Logue. He connected me with this church in a season where I was just kind of didn't have anything doing, and they had a need and I could fill it. And it was really talk about divine detours and divine interventions and divine connections. So, you never quite, and how he got connected to that church is a whole other story entirely. So, it's just one of those things where it goes, and the Lord has the long term, has the long game in mind, I think.
Absolutely. So I feel blessed that God gave us this vision, and this opportunity to sow into other people and, support, others on their journey. And it's going to be great. So, look out for some things. We'll have some links and descriptions and whatnots, and it's going to be wonderful. I'm excited, obviously. Super excited.
Right? It's going to be good times. Good times, great oldies. Yes. Kareth 101. Do you know that's a reference that I can't use anymore out here?
What?
Good times, great oldies, Kareth 101. So, like, all of a sudden,
because they don't know what that is.
They don't have all of the radio stations start in W. It's the things that you learn
when you move out of state. Oh, wow. Because everything here is K. KFWB.
But everything on the East Coast is W. And I'm like, this is so weird.
Even the fish is K-fish.
I don't even know. We've got
Although I think that's
but it's W something out here. I don't know what it is. But.
Oh, wow. That is interesting. That is very interesting. And now I'm thinking, like, when I lived in Arizona, I have no clue. I don't remember what their radio thingy-majiggles were called.
But to be fair, I don't listen to, like, regular radio out here. I just know, like, the stations, like the TV stations are like WJCL, WSAV, like... They're W stations, and that's weird. So
the radio and the TV stations are W's. But that makes sense because it's K here too. K-Cal.
Yeah. And that's how it's set up. Actually, if you look at the way that the broadcasting goes, like the call signs, I think
didn't think about it until you were having this conversation.
I think the Mississippi is the marker. I could be wrong. But everything west of the Mississippi is K, and everything east of the Mississippi is W. I could be wrong on that, but I know that there is a line of demarcation somewhere in the Midwest. Yeah.
Interesting fact.
Yep.
Did not know.
I knew that and then forgot it and then was reminded again this week.
So with that is an interesting fact. Truly, it really is.
Digression.
I never thought about it until we were having this conversation. In my mind, everything was a K because broadcasting, but there's a division. See, everything has to be a divider in life. I don't understand. Anyway, that's another story.
Can't we all just get along?
Jessica has really great updates, so we will discuss her new job as she mentioned earlier. And that is another update. This is the updates episode.
So
Jessica, share.
Well, it's not that critical. I don't know that I need a theme song for it, but
everybody needs a theme song.
Yes. So, you're not wrong. I may or may not write theme songs for people all the time. Anyways, so as you guys know, I have been serving at Gateway Church here in Bloomingdale, Georgia, which is just outside of Savannah, we live in a town called Pooler. Anyways, it's complicated. Anyway, so I have been serving at this church just as a volunteer, as a member of the worship team since April, about a year now. Actually, serving there on the worship team, and in I want to say August of last year. Early Pastor Sam kind of reached out to me and was like, hey, we're considering adding a position. We have this position that we need filled and we want to talk to you about it. And then I promptly heard nothing for months. And so I was like, okay, whatever. That's, that happens. There was a lot of stuff going on with the church, a lot of personal health issues and things like that with members of staff. And so it was just like, okay, whatever, Lord, you know what? I'm going to have open hands about it. I talk a lot about having open hands. It's like, okay, Lord, open hands, whatever you want to do with it. Then in December, those conversations kind of picked back up ever so briefly, like literally one phone conversation again, and then crickets. And meanwhile, I was just really ready to be ending my season at Hope. I loved my coworkers. I still love my coworkers. I miss them dearly. They are amazing. And I still send far too many Instagram memes to my former coworkers. I love them and I was so thrilled for them, but I was just ready. When you come through a season of healing, I think there comes a point where you're just like, I'm ready to move on to the next thing. Because that's how you're ready when you're ready to move on, is that sense of I need to be done here. This is time. It's time. Right. And for me, there was that came at a lot of personal healing. And so, probably about, February, I get another phone call, or end of January, beginning of February, I get another phone call from Sam and we start having more intense conversations. And so starting March 1st, or March 6th, rather, I guess it was, I joined staff at Gateway Church as the communications director. And so it's interesting. It's a little bit of a different role than what I had been doing in churches previously. But what's cool about it is I'm still volunteering on the worship team. So I still get to do worship like I have been, and still get to be a part of that amazing team under our worship leader, Kate, her direction. She's amazing. And then I also get to do communications, which is something that I had been doing in a previous church, but then also had been doing at Hope and kind of expanding that realm. And I get to kind of do a lot of creative elements as well and kind of work through some of the creative elements of our services and media production and technology and all those kind of things that are really my wheelhouse and my strength. So I'm very excited about it. I've been there. Let's see. This is April. So I've been there a little over a month and a half. We survived Easter. That was an adventure because I had been on staff for 3 weeks before Easter and there was just a lot to get done because it hadn't been, there were people wearing double and triple hats, like so many hats, and stuff just was kind of like last minute, like, So my first big challenge was getting Easter, taken care of. And what's cool is this is a larger church than I've ever worked at before. And so, what's neat is even though we run really lean as far as like our ministries and we want to be excellent stewards of the resources that we've been given, we do have a little bit more resource and we have some bigger vision and bigger, opportunities and some cool stuff. So it's a lot of fun. And I work with an incredible team that is easily some of the funniest people I've ever worked with. And in fact, tonight, as we record this, I'm going to be speaking at our women's night. We have a monthly women's night that gets together. So I'm really excited to be speaking at that and kind of showing what the Lord has put on my heart.
You had to tell me that one.
Oh, I can't keep track because this week has been nuts because in addition to I'm speaking tonight, this is a Friday that we were recording this. 3 days ago, I had oral surgery and had all 4 of my wisdom teeth out.
Yes.
So
you're doing well, by the way.
Oh, well, to be totally candid, they weren't impacted. There wasn't anything bad about it. Like it literally is just teeth removal. So I'm a little sore, but I didn't have swelling or anything like that. So
that's good.
But yeah, so I've had so much stuff going on that it's like, oh yeah, I'm speaking tonight because I can't read a calendar.
You totally hadn't told me that one, but it's fine. I'm excited. I'm excited that they get to witness and see the amazing gift that God has given you.
The shenanigans.
The word. No, seriously. Jessica is really great at breaking down the word and breaking down the truth of it and giving you theology without trying to sound super deep. It's very, you're comforting, but power pats. Like, it's just, I don't know how to explain it. So they get to experience something I've already known. So I am excited.
You are super sweet. And you also have updates, of a variety.
Yeah. I mean, well, I dyed my hair.
Which, first off, okay, so before we started recording, I made the comment. I was like, girl, your hair and your makeup are on point today. I was loving it. She's like, oh, it's just a little concealer, and you know what, a little concealer and some eyelashes will do. And I was like, first off, rude. Some of us have to do a full beat in order to like look presentable. And over here, we've got Miss like gorgeous hair, gorgeous make, okay.
Listen, if you would have seen me this morning, no ma'am. Like,
I'm looking at you now.
I just I just threw some really for real concealer and some powder and some lashes and some gloss and called it a day. But for those who know me or don't know me, I have a few signature things in my life. My nails are always
gorgeous,
a thing, and my hair. And so I've been going through a lot, and my hair is like my signature. I won't get tattoos. So my hair and my nails are my tattoos, right? I started dyeing my hair like crazy colors like 8 years ago. And actually it was my god sister Sharmika's idea. I was like, oh my God, what? Because I'm like Joi. Like everybody knows me as like the straight-laced person. So I walked out of the hair salon one day with some purple and blonde and green hair, and people were like, what is happening? And ever since then, I've been in love with having color. So for whatever reason, my hairstylist could not get it together for like the longest, and my color was not like working for my life. And I finally was like, I low-key had to have a sit down, come to Jesus meeting with my hairstylist. Like, listen, color is literally my life. It is a huge part and expression of my personality. We have talked about this before. I sent her some pictures of previous colors. I said, I don't know what it is that we're going to have to do, but I need this right now. I need a change. I don't want to cut my hair. I just want my colors back. So voila. I don't know.
She did a great job.
You had to talk with Jesus too, but we made it happen. Because Jessica can tell you, I have been so frustrated with my last few color sessions. They've come out
it's not bright enough,
dark and bleak, and not bright enough, and so right now there's like blonde, purple, pink. So that's been a change. It was a change that was needed, and I'm in love with.
I love it.
My students so I have students who've known me for a long time who know the color teacher, and I had students who did not know the color teacher because they've only been there like this year when I've had like all dark colors. And so my students who've known me a long time are like, one of them was like, oh, you're back. And I was like, yes. My boss, didn't change, he wasn't shocked when I walked back in after spring break with bright hair. But some of my newer students were like, Miss Joi, what is happening here? I was like, oh, you're not used to this. I said, this is me.
Right.
This is what Miss Joi likes to look like. So they're like, we love it. It's fire. It's whatever. All the words that the kids say. Like one day, my nails, I walked out into my classroom and one of my kids was like, oh, Miss Joi, your nails are giving what they need to give. And I was like, thank you.
What do you give?
And then another kid goes, yes, Miss Joi, they are giving. And I was like, okay, all right.
Giving, serving looks. Like, I don't.
Right.
Have you seen on TikTok the video of the worship song written by Gen Z?
The bussin'.
Bussin'.
Yes.
Your love is bussin'.
You know they actually recorded it.
Oh, I have it on my Spotify. It's saved.
I first heard that, I was drinking water and almost spit it out because I was just like, what is happening?
It's a bop. Low key, it's a bop. Like,
it actually is because, and if you think about the way kids talk now, it totally makes sense. God, your love is bussin'. Okay. For those of you who are older who are watching this and like, what are y'all talking about? God's love is bussing, mean his love is really good.
Yeah, bussin' is like fly for some of us from
Or dope.
dope fly. I keep trying to be dope back.
Dope. My kids kind of say dope sometimes, but more
Yeah,
so is bussin', fire.
fire. Yeah.
Um. Oh, I like your drip,
Oh
which is
yeah.
your outfit.
It's so much.
I had to explain that. Like, I actually made a joke about that in their script for this for our spring show. Is called Supernova. It's a play off of Jumanji. 4 kids get trapped in a game, but they learn lessons along the way.
I like
And
it.
so there's a line where one of the characters tell there's these fairies that help guide them through the game, right? And so they tell the fairies, by the way, your drip is fire. And she was like, I'm sorry, the fairies like, we don't know what dripping means. And then they were like, oh, she likes your fit. And she was like, my fit. So one guy goes, she really thinks your outfit is nice. So I kind of make like a millennial Gen Z, Gen Y.
And all the parents are like, "You're fit, bussin', fire."
Yeah, because when I write these scripts, I have to make sure it's in, something that their vernacular, not completely, because I also want them to learn like actual English, but I try to get things going with that. So the job isn't new. I'm still at my job. I'm still teaching as of now. But I am now also the creative arts pastor at my church. Crazy how that all happened. Right? It's kind of crazy, but so Jessica and I actually have some similarities overlapping in our positions in 2 different states.
Which, to be fair, is not terribly surprising because we're essentially the same person. Like
essentially, yes, we are.
Yeah.
So that includes voiceovers for announcements, doing productions. Because of space right now, productions are all how for Easter, I did something a little different. I made it look like a documentary of people having experiences with Jesus, and how the resurrection, and how we each other are the vision of Christ. So you experience God in different ways. So there was one scenario where a person was in the grocery store, already stressed out about how she was going to pay for everything, gets to the counter, doesn't have her wallet. Someone behind her pays for her groceries. And that was her experience with experiencing Jesus in her life. And because that person, ministered to her, then there was a scenario where there was a Gen Zer who was filming this interaction between a homeless man and another man. And he saw that the other man helped the homeless guy get housing for the night. And understanding that we are the hands and feet of Jesus. So essentially that is the Christ that is living in us. So that was what that was. So yeah, it's been a challenge though. Church people don't like change a lot. Now, the oxymoron of that is I'm not a huge proponent of immediate change because it takes me a minute. I have gotten better because I used to like freeze and like, this is different. I don't like it. But at the end of the day, I think losing someone makes you just kind of snap out of the fear of change even more, because you're like, just go with it. And so I am doing much better than I used to when it comes to change. I mean, if you read the book, I have issues with change. So I wrote about it. But church folks, honey, they a lot of them have changed. I have had lots of bucking against things. Like I had a thing, we will be honoring. So one of my other jobs is community and sharing different things. So this week, for instance, we're doing a presentation on autism awareness, because April is, they changed it from awareness to autism acceptance month. We are doing an autism acceptance thing. Our pastor's grandson, who's my nephew Adonis, he has autism. So I interviewed him and another young man and talked about, the effects of autism for them, how the differences are. I throw in some facts. So we're going to be doing that. So one of my other jobs basically is making sure, we have mental health awareness understanding. We did a whole thing about Women's History Month, Black History Month. So it's almost like every Sunday I have a new video to do about something.
Well, and you know what's funny is like video production is one of those things where once you get into it, it's fun, but it's got a lot of challenge, and it
has a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And because I'm used to doing live theater, things, I'm learning video production for the sake of the position.
Yeah.
But it also kind of includes events. So I'm trying to do a big summer event this summer, like a community event outside, have live music, things like that. So it's coming along. So that's an update for me. I'm now having this position, but it has had its challenges, just like anything new.
Oh yeah, you gotta settle in.
I did tell people might laugh at me. I did not used to be this bold at all, but I told my pastor, I said, look, I have other things going on in my life. I have a business, I have a ministry, I have different things. They do not take back seats. I did say back seat that day. Today I couldn't get it.
Words are hard.
They don't take back seat to anything that I'm doing here, because this was the last thing added to my plate. And I told him, he said, I understand. You know, I was like, I appreciate that you wanted me to do this, because the reality was, he was like, I feel like you do so much and you go out there in the world and you're doing things, and then you don't do any of that here. I said, well, here are the reasons why. And I shared those. We're not going to talk about it. But I told him, I said, it doesn't take it back. He said, no, because I love all the other things that you're doing. And they've been really supportive lately. They are planning to come to the conference, the women's ministry. They want to come to the conference. And so it's been nice to have that. But I was like, my priorities are X, Y, and Z. But it has been, I live in creativity, and I kind of feel like Jessica does too.
Yeah.
And so I am constantly thanking God for the opportunity of insight to creativity. I feel like everything I create is because that's how he told me to piece it together. This is, and I know that sounds deep, but I'm not trying to be super deep.
No. But
when I am creating, whether it's through video editing or whether I'm making a slideshow through Canva or whatever the case may be, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to see it with the eye of how it's going to capture the hearts of God's people. Even if it's just an infomercial for cancer awareness or whatever the case is. But these are the things that is catching their attention so that they can get the information. Skits, they're catching the attention so they can hear the word of God through this element. And so I don't take it light. I don't take creativity lightly, because everybody doesn't have that gift. And I'm appreciative of the gifts that God has given me to do the things. I used to think I do too much. God, I have too many things. And people used to tell me, you need to stick to one thing. And that's not how God made me, No. So yeah, that's
very cool.
That's what's going on. So I'm looking forward to it. A lot of things in my life in the last few months have been bittersweet. So this was another thing that was kind of bittersweet. But it's a great opportunity. And as long as God has me there, I'm going to do the best that I can.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing, like this idea of having open hands and looking for the divine detours and looking for the things that he's opening up. Like there was a guy on Facebook in one of my worship leader groups today that was like, this is where I feel called, and the church that I'm at right now, like it's not offering me the opportunity to do the thing that I feel like I'm called. And I'm conflicted because on one hand, I know that I've been called, but on the other hand, this doesn't seem like the right place. And what do I do with that? Yeah. And I was just like, it has so often been my experience that if I am willing to simply, follow the open doors that looks like God's opening until he either A, shuts them or allows me to walk through them. That there is so much value in that. Like explore everything, explore all the opportunities, because you don't know which one is going to be the one that God is ordering your steps towards, but hold loosely to those opportunities and hold loosely to those things, because it's like, like, use your discernment, look out for red flags, like, be wise,
Of course,
be responsible, but at the same time, pursue and go for things, because you never know where it is that God's going to take you. So like John, his job, he actually got a promotion, which was incredible and totally
that's exciting.
it was totally out of left field, because he's been there just about a year, little over a year now. And he, normally you have to like claw and scrape to get promotions here. They're not a place that just like hands them out, right? You have to like make a presentation and say why you think you need one and all this kind of stuff. But John has so demonstrated his, worth to this company that they offer him this promotion. But one of the things that it struck us was, he would not have gotten this job because he had already applied to this company 2 times previously and heard nothing. But it popped back up, and he like tried a different thing and was like, there's not very many opportunities, so I'm just going to keep trying until God makes it very clear that the answer is no. And third time was in fact the charm. And that's how he got this job, was his persistence in just going down when the opportunities presented themselves. And when we first started talking to Sam about me coming on staff at Gateway, I told John, I said, look, I don't know if this is the right place for me. Like, I know it's the right place for us to worship right now. Like, this is where God has landed us. But I don't know if this is, you never know until you see the backside of water. How healthy is this church going to be? Like, I feel like we have a better idea than most, but I don't want to, I just came from unhealthy. I don't want to dive back into
that. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, we're going to follow it until God says otherwise. And there was such a peace for me when the conversation stalled out. There was such a peace for me about just like, okay, whatever God's going to do in this. Like, I will keep applying for jobs. I will keep looking for something out here. I will keep trying to find a ministry gig, like, because that's where my heart is and that's what I really want to do. But I'm going to trust that God's timing in his way is going to do for me what I need. And let me tell you, it's easy to say it and it's a lot harder to live it.
That's true.
Like, it's super hard to live it. And so it was every day having to remind myself that this is what I said I was going to do. And then when it happened, like, it was like, okay, great. God ordained all the steps and he made the things happen when they needed to. And, I was telling John, I said, I really feel between his promotion and me getting a new job out here, and it's back in ministry and being back in that realm and world, which is really where my heart is. That there is just, and here's the other ginormous praises. I finally got the title to my car, and I finally got my car registered in the state of Georgia 16 months later. Like, when I tell you that it was an absolute nightmare, like, that happened last week. So
yes, it did.
Literally the first 4 months of 2023, God has just tied up so many loose ends for me. He had tied up loose ends, like, for John. And he had tied up loose ends in a lot of other areas, but there were still so many frayed pieces for me.
Yeah.
And like, having that sense where he has begun to tidy up some of those ends. And, there are still some loose ends that I would love for him to tidy up. But this wasn't where I intended to go with this, but let me just offer this encouragement for anybody listening. Like, if you feel like you are in a season where you are just, it has been a long and lengthy season. And let me tell you, mine was years. Mine was almost 4 years of just turmoil in my life and trying to trust God and trying to put another step forward. Like, he will come through. And I'm not going to say, if you stay faithful, like, I'm going to encourage you to stay faithful because he will come through. Like,
absolutely.
Because staying faithful in that season, like, I can look back and it wasn't perfect, but I can look back with an appropriate amount of pride, going, it was a hard thing and I stuck with him through the hard thing, and I stuck with him through the hard season. And because of that, my faith has been increased. And I could say, Jess, you faced the trial as well as you could in the season. It wasn't perfect. There were some rough spots. There were some ugly places, but like, you came through and God saw you through on the other side. So my encouragement for everybody listening is like, there is another side. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It is not necessarily a
Absolutely.
freight train. Like, it's not a
Right.
train coming at you. Like, there is hope. And like, it's really good on the other side.
It
Like,
is. And
it's
I
really
think
good.
I think I'm still getting to the other side.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the middle of the other side. But
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to share, kind of piggybacking on what you were saying is that, so, my students for our spring show, the finale song is Fireworks by Katy Perry. And there's a line in the song that you know, it's not about God, but
Right.
here's a line and see why I say that. It says, maybe the reason why all the doors close, so you can open one that leads you to the perfect road.
Yeah.
And like a lightning bolt, your heart would glow. And it's basically saying once that new door opens, you're going to understand why you went through all the hell and the trials and the things that you went through, in order to get to this open door. And it doesn't mean that there's going to be one open door. I have such a belief that when God opens one door, he continues to open doors to continue to walk you through some things that are on the other side of the trials. And yes, there may be some darts in the hallway. There may be some other things that come up, but just keep looking at the open door and seeing that there's a way through. And I know I've seen it in my life. I've seen why certain things haven't happened in my life before. I've seen why doors were closed in my life before, because that's not where I needed to be. And that the other side was so much more worth what I was trying to go after in the first place.
Right. We're so easily settling for something because we think it's what we
Right.
want. And God is saying, great, you're not dreaming big enough. He literally
Yeah.
said that to John a while back. And even after he said that to John, like John felt like God was saying that to him, and he still kept like pursuing the other thing because he was like, that feels prideful. And so he talked himself out of that. And then God's like, all right, whatever. So he keeps doing a thing and he keeps doing a thing. And now John goes, yeah, I see it now. Like what God was wanting to do was more than I was prepared for or had even considered. And it has nothing to do with John. It has nothing to do with John, has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the faithfulness of God. Like, and when we are willing to just go with him and see what he does, like, it's not easy. In fact, it's hard.
I'm in a place with God right now that he's showing me before a lot of who I am, hence the book, but he's showing me some new things, some things that I still need to work on within myself. And as well as some other things that I have slept on myself, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. Not trying to be prideful at all, but the reality is like, I constantly dream big. And when I haven't, it doesn't seem like I've had the fulfillment of the big dreams, but I still don't stop believing in the big. In our church this year, our theme is rebuilding and restoring. And one of the things that we've been talking about is that when you're rebuilding, there's a lot that has to be torn down that isn't, the foundations are weak. When you go into a house, remember that show? Remember they used to have that show with what was it? Ty Burrell? Pennington. And they used to say, move that bus. And it was those families that I always wondered why they would tear down so much around, but leave one wall up. And I found that once you leave one wall up, that is the difference between a rebuild and a renovation. And because when you have a total rebuild, you have to tear everything down. The foundation has to come down because you have to completely start over. But a renovation, as long as you leave one wall up, that's less permits, is less things that have to be done. And I am in a season that I believe that I don't want just a renovation in my life. I need God to completely rebuild so that the restoration can happen. Absolutely. And so that's kind of where I believe things are, in general. We don't always want the tear down part. We
No.
just want
Oh
the
no.
restorative part. But in
Yeah.
order to be restored, in order to
You gotta
get the
come down.
things, in order to have the big, in order to sustain the big, it's that saying, you have to be prepared for what you prayed for. That's part of the rebuilding. It's that preparation. And I believe that there's something so major on the other side. That's why this rebuilding phase has been so rough for me.
Yeah.
And not that I'm not happy, not that things are all completely bad. It is just a period right now. It's a
It's
season
tough.
right now that is happening. And I am continually thanking God in advance. And I mean, even there was a situation that happened Wednesday. I was going to Bible study and I got a phone call that kind of threw me off. And I had a little bit of an attitude about it because I'm like, why are they not calling me about this? And why is this person calling me about it? And she's not even supposed to be in charge of that situation. And God had to show me, you have to let go of your other issues that you have with that person and understand and hear what they're trying to do in this season. Take your presuppositions about that person out of your mind, let go, release it, forgive and forget, literally in this situation. And I was like, I am a forgiving person, God. I've gotten over things. I'm this, I'm that. And he's like, no, because listen to your tone when you talk to them.
Yeah.
And he checked me. He had to check me because he's like, in order to be restored, you can't hold on to things that bothered you from the past. And then in Bible study, that's what he was talking about. And one of the things he said, most of you guys are stuck in 2020, 2019, and 2018, but living in 2023, which means you're not living.
Oof. Oof. Oof.
Right? Right? Ouch.
Oh man. Yeah. Well,
So it's like, yeah, okay. Get prepared for the things that you're praying and asking God for, the vision that you see, the dreams that you have. Start getting prepared and understand that preparation is going to hurt sometimes. That preparation is going to leave you sore. That preparation is going to leave you in feeling some kind of way, but also look at where God is taking you as you get through it. It's breaking down that hard wall. I don't want to be in 2018, stuck in 2018, living in 2023. And it is amazing because God has been showing me, even though I had let go of certain relationships, I was still keeping certain people close. And it was almost habitual. Every morning when I woke up, I texted the person. Every morning, evening I went to bed, I texted the person. I talked to them all day long. Now I barely think about them. Barely. Yeah. We're still friends, associates. We talk. They've been very supportive throughout the my grieving process, because they still genuinely care for me. I still genuinely care for them, but I also have a better understanding of where I'm going now. And it's like, that was one of the hardest things to let go. And God showed me you let it go and you didn't even pay attention that you let it go. That's where we have to be.
Yeah.
We have to be so focused and in tune with God that the things that used to connect to us, the things that we used to hold on so dear to, they start falling off and you don't even realize it because you are doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And
my relationship with God right now is so important. Right. I don't want to move without him.
Right.
I don't. I didn't want to before, but it's like, it's more in my brain now. Every conversation, every time I talk to somebody, arguments, I now feel worse because I let somebody affect me.
Yeah.
Nobody should change your mood.
No.
Nobody should have that much power to change your mood. So, I wasn't trying to preach, sorry.
Sometimes you just got something it's got to preach, I think that this year, there was, whenever you're in a final project, I don't know if you remember, in college, we'd have these big papers that we'd have to write, right? And it's they're due tomorrow. And you're everybody is it's finals week and everybody's trying to get these papers written and it's all this stuff. And you're trying to make that final push over the last hump. And that's almost the hardest part, where you see that the deadline is there. You see that the finish line is there and you're trying to get over that last hurdle to get there. And I really feel just the last few months, really the last probably 6 months have been this hurdle push of we can see that there is something on the horizon that is worth pursuing, and it's just getting there is difficulty.
Yeah.
And God's grace is so good day after day after day after day to get you there. Like this has, as tough as the previous 3 years have been for me, the last 3 months have been as sweet for me, if not sweeter, because of all I went through. And
Amen.
and it's not that people are like, well, would you choose to go? No, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to do it. I want to be wiser and smarter the next time. But if I'm going to have to go through that, I'm just choosing to sit in thankfulness that season seems to have passed, and that season has entered. There's a new season that has entered into, and and then I can stand here and say, okay, I've been now in a new season, and I know that I still have people who are still in the previous season who were on their way out of it. So I'm going to be here, and I'm going to reach back, and I'm going to help you through to the end of the new season, like, because people did that for me in this season. So it's like we have responsibility, but we also have joy in wherever we find ourselves in.
Yes.
And like, because we know that this season is not the entirety of it. When we can get some better perspective and step back and get the blinders off and be just like, I can see a bigger perspective. And yes, my office may still not be unpacked from our move, and things may still be not every loose end tied up. And there might still be giant hurts in our hearts that, only God can fix. But even so, in this season, God is doing a new thing. And I'm ready for it. And I'm ready for your new season. And I'm just so excited for all that God is going to do in this new season for all of us. So, season 4 is here. And I think we've had some technical difficulties because I'm not seeing Joy anymore, which would not surprise me because, it's a good season, but it's still a season. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We are at just about an hour for our episode, and that is plenty. So, hey, if you have enjoyed this episode, or even if you haven't, you should still subscribe. There's better stuff coming, I promise. But anyway, thanks for being with us. You can catch us on Instagram at We Digress with Joi_Jess. And then there's Joy's bag.
I don't know what happened. I'm back.
But anyways, you should catch us on Instagram at We Digress with Joi_Jess. You can catch us on Facebook. You can catch us on YouTube. All kinds of good stuff. There is more coming up. We've got some really cool things planned for season 4.
And I did want to add this. I want to thank those who did pray for my family and my dad. Unfortunately, we did lose him a few weeks after we wrapped last season, on his birthday, actually. So I thank you. I know that those of you were praying. Some people who do listen to the show have reached out to ask how he was doing or found out that he passed. So from the bottom of my heart and from my family, we truly appreciate and thank you. Continue to pray for us. This has been a rough season in regards to this. Everybody's figuring out their new normal. My stepmom, his wife of 26 years, my mom herself, figuring out some things, my sister and my siblings and I. And so we just continue to pray for us. And I really appreciate all the love that was shown during that time. I just wanted to say thank you.
For sure. Yeah. All right, friends. That'll about do it for us today. If I could talk, that'd be great. It's season 4, but we're still crazy.
Season 4, but we're still us.
Yes. All right, friends. We'll catch you next time.
Till next time. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Check us out on the web at joyandjess.com. That's JOIANDJESS.com. We'll see you next week.